Hey basketball guys, we have news. Let's go to more news from the Golden State Warriors, but before that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your. The Warriors had some flaws this season, and one of them was the absence of a great center in the starting five. A center like Jared Allen, who gets defensive and offensive rebounds and also has the ability to score near the basket, will help the Warriors a lot if his signing is finalized. The Warriors want to negotiate a three-team trade and bring in Jared Allen. After getting outmatched by a massive Timberwolves lineup, could the Warriors look to add Allen from the Cavaliers in an effort to shake up their starting five? After being eliminated by the Minnesota Timberwolves in the second round, it's clear the Golden State Warriors need to consider changes. Acquiring Jimmy Butler at the trade deadline helped improve their roster, but their matchup against the Timberwolves showed that the Warriors still need more on defense and could use more shooting. They had no answer for Julius Randle in the Timberwolves series and went on several cold streaks without Steph Curry to push them forward. Draymond Green has been an incredible defensive anchor throughout the Warriors dynasty, but it's fair to wonder if the Warriors need to consider moving him from guarding centers and actually acquire a true big man. In short, Golden State needs a third source of offense beyond Curry and Butler who can also add to their defense and brings the size that their roster lacks. The Cavaliers also experienced a second-round exit at the hands of the Indiana Pacers, but their path forward is a bit unclear. While they should be a playoff team again just by virtue of a weakened Eastern Conference, they're currently in the dreaded second apron and need to make trades in order to get into a more manageable cap situation. Cleveland lacked the athleticism and toughness necessary to keep up with the Pacers. Could they look to move on from pieces like center Jared Allen and point guard Darius Garland to fix that? Contrary to the other two second-round exits mentioned above, the Hawks missed the playoffs entirely after losing in the play-in. However, they have $40 million in cap space under the luxury tax threshold to work with this offseason and likely won't need to make any changes to their starting lineup of Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, Zachary Rizicher, Jalen Johnson and Onyeka Okongwu. Due to injuries and a late promotion of Okongwu into the starting lineup, this starting five only got 14 minutes together. The Hawks still have to see how that lineup gels together, but it's clear that they need to make more additions in their rotation. Additional frontcourt depth, more defensive pieces and a capable shooter are all areas in which the team could improve before the 2025-26 season. Given the situations of these three teams, what would a deal between them look like? Here is one possible framework. It should be noted that this is just a speculative and fun exercise to see what kind of moves can be made, not what I think the Hawks or any other teams should do or will do. That is all. Atlanta Hawks receive Moses Moody and Dean Wade. Cleveland Cavaliers receive Jonathan Kuminga, SNT contract of 4-year, $85 million. 2027 second-round pick, via CLE, from ATL. Golden State Warriors receive Jared Allen, Georges Niang, 2025 second-round pick, via CLE, number 59, 2026 second-round pick, via CLE, 2029 second-round pick, via CLE, from ATL, 2031 second-round pick, via ATL. Why the Hawks would do this deal? Moody would help the Hawks' need for more shooting. He shot a career-best 37.4% from deep on 4.6 attempts per game and averaged a career-high 9.8 points per game. He's not solely reliant on his three-point shot, converting 72% of his shots at the rim, 82nd percentile among all wings. Moody's a solid defender with long arms, 7 feet 0 inches wingspan, to get into passing lanes. He's not an elite shooter or defender, but he's solid in both areas and secured under contract for the next 3 years. Wade is good frontcourt depth for the Hawks to have. He offers some floor spacing, 36% shooter from deep on 3.8 attempts per game, but his real value comes as a defender and rebounder. He can guard on the perimeter and help to keep the Cavs' second unit afloat on defense. Both players are two-way reserves who should be able to make a positive impact in the rotation when healthy. Why the Hawks would not do this deal? Moody did not play well in the 2024-25 playoffs, especially when Curry went down with an injury and they needed him to step up. He played with a finger injury that required surgery after the Warriors were eliminated, but it is still concerning that he was not able to make an impact when they needed him. Wade is also not a particularly healthy player and hasn't played more than 60 games for 4 straight seasons. Why the Cavaliers would do this deal? Jonathan Kuminga's flashes of potential are incredibly tantalizing. With Curry out in the Minnesota series, he dropped 30 points in Game 3 against a very strong Timberwolves defense. He's an incredibly athletic wing who converted on 72% of his attempts at the rim last season, good for the 87th percentile relative to all wings. One of his most useful skills is drawing tons of contact. He finished last season in the 94th percentile among wings for percentage of shots fouled on, 16.5%. Although he's not a great defender, he has tons of defensive potential that shows up in spurts. The Cavaliers need a third scorer who can take some pressure from Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. Kuminga could take on that role outside of the rigid Warriors system. At only 22 years old, he still has a good bit of development left in his career. Why the Cavaliers would not do this deal? Kuminga's shooting is a real problem. He's a great finisher inside the paint and can get by defenders due to his athleticism, but he shoots 35% on mid-range attempts and only 66.8% from the free throw line. That could improve with playing next to 2 dynamic guards in Mitchell and Garland, as well as a floor-stretching big in Mobley, but it is concerning that he hasn't been able to show a more complete offensive skill set. Furthermore, while he has all the tools to be a great defender, he hasn't consistently shown himself to be a defensive stopper and needs more time to grow on that end. Losing Allen also removes some of the rim protection advantage that the Cavs have traditionally had over most teams. Why the Warriors would do this deal? Allen seems like a player that would fit smoothly into Golden State's system. Defensively, the combination of him and Draymond would be very difficult for opponents to crack due to Allen's abilities as a rim protector and defensive rebounder. Impressively, Allen was only called for a defensive foul on 2.1% of team plays last season, which is in the 97th percentile for all bigs. On offense, he's a tremendous finisher around the rim, converting 77% of his looks from that distance, 93rd percentile relative to centers last season. He has some touch from mid-range as well, hitting 59% of his mid-range shots, 94th percentile across all centers. Considering that the Warriors could use a third scoring option, slotting a former All-Star center who scored 13.5 points last season would be a welcome addition. Similar to Buddy Hield, Nyang is a true catch-and-shoot option who earns his place on the roster due to being a high-volume shooter. After being traded to the Hawks at the deadline, he averaged 12.1 points and shot 41.3% from deep on 6.6 attempts a game as he took on a heavy workload for Atlanta. He has limitations on defense due to being slow and non-athletic, but he's 6 feet 8 inches and can hold his own against most matchups because of his defensive intelligence. Why the Warriors would not do this deal? Allen's toughness has been questioned in 2 straight playoff series, the most recent of which he grabbed 6 rebounds across Games 4 and 5 of the Cavs series against the Pacers. While he's a great regular season player, he struggled to deliver that same impact in the postseason. Furthermore, he is a complete non-shooter, and playing 2 non-shooters in the starting lineup could place a lot of pressure on a Warriors team that already needs better spacing. Although Nyang gives tons of defensive effort, he can be targeted on that end and could prove to be a liability in the postseason. Warriors should stay far away from injury-prone star if latest rumors prove true. As the Golden State Warriors look to maximize their remaining championship window with superstar Stephen Curry, the aggressive nature of their front office has made clear that almost any move is on the table in an attempt to bring one more title to the Bay. However, in light of the recent rumors surrounding oft-injured star Zion Williamson's availability for trade, the team must make sure to steer clear of any potential knee-jerk move for the young forward. Such a trade would be potentially disastrous, in all likelihood involving the departure of team-transforming cornerstone Jimmy Butler. Warriors must stay away from the enticing prospect of a Zion Williamson trade. As reported by Kevin O'Connor of Yahoo Sports, there are currently no players that are considered unavailable on the New Orleans Pelicans roster. While this likely indicates the genuine availability of more tradable pieces such as Jose Alvarado or Yves Missi, it also indicates that the Pelicans could be gauging interest in Williamson, who is the current centerpiece of their franchise. Williamson, who will be 25 by the start of next season, is a superstar-level scoring threat. In 30 games this past season, he averaged 24.6 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 5.3 assists. However, in his 6 NBA seasons, he has played more than 30 games only twice, missing the entirety of the 2021-22 season due to injury. The Pelicans, who suffered mightily from injuries this season and finished at an abysmal 21-61 record, may now look to move on from Williamson and reboot their franchise. They hold the 7th overall pick in the upcoming 2025 NBA draft. The Warriors, in order to put together a package for Williamson, would likely need to include Butler as well as a number of first-round picks. Williamson, with his strength and ability to drive to the basket, would provide an immediate upgrade, both in athleticism and cost, over Butler when healthy. However, while Williamson would immediately provide another dynamic scoring threat alongside Curry, his injury history, and the length of his contract, should preclude Golden State from pursuing any such move. Williamson will be on the 3rd season of his 6-year, $197 million deal, effectively preventing the Warriors from resetting their own franchise following the end of Curry and Butler's contracts. Moreover, the team's roster issues stem primarily from their lack of size at the center position and lack of playmaking depth on their bench, 2 issues that Williamson would not be able to fix. Therefore, while these rumors about Williamson's availability could lead to an intriguing, league-wide sweepstakes for the star's services, Golden State should be nowhere near being a potential trade partner for New Orleans. Biggest fix Warriors must make in 2025 NBA offseason. The Golden State Warriors will need to be active during this summer's offseason. The Golden State Warriors are trying to squeeze what they can out of the remaining years in the Stephen Curry era. If one more championship is to find its way to the Bay Area, the Warriors will need a strong offseason approach. The front office in Golden State has added to a strong foundation for success by bringing in Jimmy Butler to star alongside Curry and Draymond Green. However, there will still be more moves needed to truly establish the team as contenders. Zach Buckley of Bleacher Report recently wrote up an article focusing on the biggest fixes necessary for every team in the association. The selection for the Warriors was always an obvious one. Buckley identified support scoring as Golden State's biggest necessary fix this summer. The NBA writer pointed out how Curry-dependent the Warriors are. Their inability to get a single playoff win without him suggests they probably didn't have enough to win big even if they had kept him upright, Buckley wrote before adding more thoughts to consider. The Warriors' model for competing at a high level includes ferocious defense and Curry's brilliance at the more glamorous end. They'll need a deeper offensive menu to make it all work, though. This was a mediocre attack this season, 16th in efficiency, and it's hard to see their championship dreams becoming a reality unless or until that changes. The Warriors showed plenty of promise offensively post-All-Star break. They ranked 7th in the league when it came to offensive rating. However, Buckley's point of being overly reliant on Curry stands. In the NBA playoffs, the Warriors were 13th in offensive rating, 108.6, out of the 16 qualifying teams. It gets worse when looking at their offensive rating for their 5-game series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Warriors had a mark of 104.5. That is a team crying out for help.